And are we live?
Brilliant.
You've got a red box.
Oh, wow.
I have got a red box. That is true.
Yeah, need we say any more, really?
No, need we say any more? So we'll just have a little chat until we start seeing a comment come through. Then we know that it's coming in and going out live. It's all okay. So thank you very much for joining us. Lovely, lovely ladies, Jane and Leah. Jane, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You? All of you?
Yeah, always good. Always good. Lots going on, lots happening, but always very, very good. And for those that are coming in and watching, Jane is in the UK. So this is now just gone 4 o'clock in the afternoon. However, Leah is in LA.
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles complaining about how early it is. I'm awake.
Yeah, this is an early one for Leah. And she's just been explaining she's a bit of a night hawk. So she's certainly got up very early this morning to be with us. We're very, very lucky, very privileged.
Oh, I like it, Nighthawk. But yeah, if I get to see your faces, then I'm happy.
Well, it depends, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, keep going.
Although I will not be doing this every day, just
so they know.
Right.
No,
I'm the opposite to you. I'm a nighthawk and an early bird, so I hardly sleep.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah,
I
well,
thought
you've
they were
got a
mutually
rather interesting
exclusive, really.
house. Sorry.
I was going to say, I thought they were mutually exclusive. Is either one or the other, generally?
No, I don't know why I'm like it. I mean, I do sleep. And actually, when I'm asleep, I'm not sure if I'm actually asleep because other stuff's going on. But anyway, I will stay up because I like the night. I was born at night, so maybe that's it. But I can't lay around in bed because there's too much to do in the day.
Wow.
You could say you're a long time dead, but in this game, it doesn't matter.
No.
But no, I can't sit around. If I'm awake, I'm awake and I get up. Just how I've always been.
Yeah, no matter how motivated I am the night before, I can always sleep more in the morning. So I don't care what's going on. I'll just sleep. But
yeah, I'm kind of in that camp. Mornings don't really work for me, but they have to. But there we are. So look, you've both just come through the academy. You've both just come through the training. You've both just been certified. Now, you know, Andy and I, we hear some very, very good things about your work and some of the reports that's coming out. So we just want to have a chat really and just see how this all started, see where it all came from, see where you got from there to how you got to here, and just have a chat with everyone. That's kind of how we work. So Leah, let's start with you. How did this all start with you? Was this as some people say, a born thing, or did you trip up, knock your head, and suddenly start hearing voices?
Yeah, I think I'm actually happy I didn't have one of those shocking awakening things happen. That would be scary. But I think I've always been very sensitive to things that are the unseen, I guess you could say, or to energies in a room or how somebody's feeling, even if it's not apparent what's going on. So yeah, it started as long as I can remember. Probably like 5 is when I had a sort of a key moment with that. But I didn't really have anyone to explain that it was different or not everyone saw or comprehended the same things. Like I remember telling my dad, "Oh, I can see the air. I see the air move. It's not clear. Like I see air." And he looked at me like, "What? I don't understand what you're talking about." So I also had a protector, a guide that came in when I was really young. I think because I also spent a lot of time as a kid being really scared. I was one of the ones like hiding under the covers, sweating, waiting until the next morning. So I had a guide that came in that I felt like was a protector, and it really helped. And I thought it was like an imaginary friend, but I would constantly think of that if I was having trouble. So, and what else? Oh, I did used to dress up like a gypsy and go read my neighbor's fortunes. That's another thing I did. So I guess I knew something. I was drawn to it from the beginning. I had a book when I was a kid about a gypsy that read fortunes, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's me. I want to do that.
And that's how you used to dress up. So you didn't have a distant aunt in the family somewhere that was guiding you and bringing you into this?
No, nothing. No one in my family I know of that does this, but I also don't really know most of my family. So my mom was really into Buddhism when I was 7. So she had a really strong spiritual background that I did not connect to necessarily, but I loved the information. So we grew up with past lives being something that was normal, a normal conversation in our household. But I also grew up with a Catholic stepmom. My dad's Jewish. My stepdad at the time came from like a Baptist background where, you're going to hell if you did any of this stuff. So I had all of that as I grew up. It was all there. And then I also grew up in a place that was very, I guess, spiritually oriented, because Santa Fe, New Mexico is a pretty holistic, or it's got vortexes. It's an energy field that people are either really drawn to or really not. So,
and I think a lot of people can relate to that story, coming from perhaps a religious family or religious background, having things said that perhaps we wouldn't deem as true in our adult life, and the warnings and stuff. I know certainly I was told that the work I do is evil.
Yeah.
Try and help people. That's all I try and do.
I know before I took transmediumship with you, I definitely, from just growing up in a very spiritual environment, I didn't want to be one of those crazy psychics, it was my worst fear. So I used to always kind of keep it to myself. Oh, I love doing astrology, or I like palmistry, or I know things accidentally, but I would joke about it, like, oh, I'm an accidental psychic, because I didn't want that to be my life, because I had this idea of it being something that I didn't want to be. And so even transmediumship, it was a huge push for me to get into that, because in my mind, oh, that's not good for you, or it could be dangerous, or I had a lot of preconceived ideas that,
Do you find it dangerous now?
No, thanks to you. I mean, I think day one you explained a lot of the things that I was wondering about, and it's actually sort of meeting myself again.
Love that expression.
Yeah.
Love that expression. And you mentioned astrology because you're, I know you're very good, very knowledgeable with astrology and the stars and how they align. So you would have seen quite a difference over the last couple of days, wouldn't you, in how the stars are aligning?
Yeah, well, Mercury went direct. I guess everyone's like, whew. That was yesterday. But yeah, I'm always noticing stuff like that. I kind of look at it as, how could you not want to know what's going on? If the tide is created by the moon, how would it not be pulling on us, pushing on us, and every other planet in the sky? So to me, it's like it's numbers, it's like alignments, it's how they work together. It's fascinating. Although I don't really feel that's my one thing I want to do. That's just one aspect that helps to kind of explain things along the way.
And that's what you do for customers, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of times with clients, I will see whatever comes through. I have no idea before I begin a session, but a lot of times I will look at the astrology. It's one of the easiest ways to get right into it and see a lot of different things. And what's amazing is I could look at a chart again a year later, 6 months later, a day later, and other things will start popping up. So I see something else completely different than what I saw before. So I know the way I'm reading it is definitely where I'm getting the messages, not even necessarily a classical, this means this and this means. But I have been into it since I was a teenager. So I guess it's been a while. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And then Jane, how about you? Did you fall out of the cot and start doing readings with a?
I can relate. I can relate so much to Leah, because I think my first seeing spirit, I was around 5. My mum told me it was an imaginary friend, and to, you know, not worry about it. But he was a man in a trench coat in the First World War. I'm sure I could have picked somebody else. She just kept saying, no, it's your imagination. I used to get told off in school for writing really elaborate stories. And they actually said to my mum, she's just spending too much time writing these stories. We just, you know, when you're in like junior school, this is as well, just write small, short stories. But I'd really elaborate on what I believed may have been fantasy, but who knows. My mum has admitted now in adulthood, she was scared. It scared her what I could see, what I would tell her. I knew the second my nan died, who lived with us, turned out, I've only found this out in adulthood, that she actually went to the spiritualist church on a regular basis. My mum never thought to tell her I was seeing people. But I am the odd one in the family. No one else in my family can do it, wants to do it. They all think I'm a weirdo. My biological nan, who we found, my mum's real family, because my mum's adopted, about 9 years ago, turns out my biological nan was a medium, and I'm the only one in the bloodline of that family that is doing it. So that's quite fascinating. So it's been around me, but no one's really supported me. So a bit like with the trauma did kickstart me back in it. Lots of things have happened in my life, and I think at one stage or another they've tried to say, come on, Jane, come on. But I've just pushed it back and tried to act normal and pretended I wasn't seeing or getting these, you know, gut feelings all the time. So, yeah, it was a little bit of a roller coaster for me. And when I was a fully fledged adult, if I am still now,
If you are, yeah.
still so doubted myself, because I'm also a Virgo. And again, like Leah, I loved astrology. It was probably my first love. Yet I never actually studied it or actually returned to it. It's not even on my agenda now. And I bought my first tarot cards, I think, when I was 14, but used to hide them. So I have pretty much been like even when things have happened, I'm going, go on, Jane, go on, it's your time. And I've gone, no. And I've carried on being the rebel teenager or the rebel adult that I was until probably 10 years ago, when something happened in my life and it literally did sort of stop me dead. And it was like, you are doing this now, whether you like it or not. So, yeah. So a bit of a mad journey. And
so
again,
what was that? How did you get from trying to step away and hide behind what you were gifted to do into stepping out and actually doing the readings and healing now? Is that right?
So I started holistically. I had a really horrible day job. I was in charge of parking for our local university. So I was very well hated and very tough in my job. So I had this demeanour of being a real tough, and I worked with a lot of men, so I had to have that demeanour. But I wasn't. Behind the scenes, I was very empathic. Things upset me. I worried about people. So I knew I had to change my job because it was sucking the life out of me. And my health started to take a bit of a toll, and I got diagnosed with something. And that's when I went holistic, because I thought, you know what, I'm not doing the conventional medicine. So I looked at holistic practices and actually trained as an aromatherapist. So for the first few years, it was my holistic side that I was concentrating on. But as anyone knows that works in a holistic way, you are opening up your spiritual side anyway. And it's almost that nudge going, okay, well, let her do it this way, but she's doing this whether she likes it or not. So it was the company that I started to keep, the people I was meeting, that I was coming away from that day-to-day, like businesswoman and sort of party animal, into a more holistic spiritual tribe. So my friends started to change, my circle started to change, and my outlook I can't say my outlook changed, because I think, again, I was hiding behind that tough demeanour of what my actual thoughts were. And I have always been different. I don't agree with most mainstream stuff. I've always been the odd one out in the classroom. I've always argued in the classroom, because if I don't agree with something, then I don't agree with it. And I won't have someone tell me it's got to be that way. So I think I just, like you said, I learned to understand me and not be told what I should be doing, and actually understand what I am. And I've had very good support. I met a lovely lady, Jono, you know her, Neshla.
Yes.
Yeah, she literally obviously see what I was doing, and sort of very gently but firmly nudged me in the right direction. And I can honestly say I call her my mentor, because she was. Even when I wobbled and thought I'm not doing this, she would sit me down and talk to me and tell me why she thinks I should be doing it. So she was brilliant, and we're great friends now. And then obviously Polly, we sort of got thrown together to work together on a show, and it's just gone from there really, because we all know Polly, because she's obviously one of us as well.
But being a medium show.
Yeah, well, it was a TV spiritual channel that had started up and running. Polly had been on it quite a while before me. She used to do her mediumship and trance stuff, and then they used to do a Sunday sofa, like a chat show, like the Loose Women. And I ended up coming in on the tail end and being one of the hosts with her. So that's how it went. But went on to do a psychic counselling show of my own. So, because that is one of my practices. So yeah, just an absolute mad roller coaster.
And you and Polly are hilarious together, by the way. She should be on here right now, actually, because these two.
No, because we'd be on for hours. When we made the decision not to do our live shows no more, it was hard for the audience, but it wasn't for us. We knew that we had to get on and do our work, and we were given our free time for that, which is nothing wrong. And we've talked about this, haven't we? Our energy exchange. We did that because we wanted to do it, but we did it for 3-4 years, and it come a time where you've got to also do your work and expand. So, but yeah, we could be close to the mark on our show. So I don't know if we should both be on together. You've all sat in a classroom with us. No, you don't want us both on together.
So
it's been 10 years, but it's been mad. And I never thought I'd trance. 100%, I swore I'd never trance. And Polly's going, you will. No, I won't.
It comes in every now and again.
Well, it happened. It happened on the live show. I started talking in another voice, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then that was it. And then I did your level 1, and that was it. I haven't looked back from trance, to be honest. So.
You know, I had a mentor come in too. I think there's something about that is just life-changing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I think all of us can relate to that. I know Andy had a mentor. I certainly had a mentor. Jane has mentioned it. So who was yours, Leah? How did they inspire you?
Well, her name is Mairead, and she's Irish actually, but she lives in LA. And my best friend told me about this healer he had gone to, this Irish healer. And I knew instantaneously I'm going to meet her. And this was 2010, I believe. And I also knew I wasn't allowed to meet her until I was connected by him. Like I just knew. So 1 year later, he said, you know what, you have to meet Mairead. I've got to connect you. And I went to go see her, and I walked in. She said, oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you. And so I was going through a really tough time in my life. I mean, I literally was just like, I guess you could call it the dark night of the soul in a way. And I was struggling in every way. And I remember a couple sessions in, she said, you know, you could be doing what I'm doing today. And I looked at her and I was like, you are out of your, I mean, I was like, she's crazy. I love her. She's nutso. I cannot believe she said that. And it really disturbed me. I'm like, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? And if there's anyone that I could feel the most affinity with what I do, it's her, actually. I know that's, you know, she actually did her sessions quite different because it was in person. And then she had this table you could lie down and she'd do healing. And I mean, weird things would happen. Like one time water started dripping out of the ceiling on my feet during the session. Wow. And that's never happened before to her. But I mean, stuff would happen that was like showing me, hey, something is opening for you here. And I was able to turn around my life, I think, because of her in a way that I had no idea I was going to end up just like her, doing healings or being a reader. But also, you know, sometimes we resist. So I had a big idea of what I wanted to do with my life. And it was, you know, fashion and design. And then I would do the healing work. Then I would give back to others. Then I would be in service. No, universe had a different idea for me. So taught me the hard way.
Well, I can certainly relate to that because fashion and design was my first thing.
Right. Cutting, right?
Yeah. I came out of school, and I entered the London College of Fashion for 3 years, working in Savile Row for 11 years. That was my thing. But the universe clearly had other options and other directions for me to go, and that door was shut very firmly. So,
Yeah, mine was like
here I
a
am.
slow, painful shut that I kept saying, but I mean, I put my everything into it. But I know the other thing we have in common actually is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Jiu-jitsu, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I got a black eye and stitches out of that one, so that was a no-go either.
Yeah, I've had 3 broken ribs and 2 broken knuckles out of that as well.
Oh yeah, I had a misplaced rib as well.
And I thought working in parking was dangerous.
I know. We've come from some dangerous backgrounds here.
See, I always
Very
thought
similar.
the jobs that I did and the qualifications that I've done over the years, business degrees, I've got a transport qualification where I can run my own bus and coach and taxi company. It's mad, I know. I used to think, well, what a waste of my life, what a waste of my time, but it isn't, because although my journey may have stopped and started and I was not paying attention to it, everything I've learned in my day-to-day life, I think has added and helped me now understand my clients, because I can now see where maybe I should have got off that horse and took a risk, but I can also relate to so many situations with so many clients because I've literally lived them. So it's definitely obviously the right time now. And I would think, I wish I'd done this years ago, but actually I wasn't probably ready. Probably in a mature way, I wasn't ready either. So I had a lot to learn about me before I could go out and help others.
And in a way, I think we were doing this all along, because sometimes you don't know why you're going somewhere. I used to be working in South Central LA making samples all day long. I was driving through these neighborhoods, and I realize now, looking back, sometimes we just got to show up somewhere and we don't know why we're there, but we're bringing in our energy, our love, our desire to be our maximum in whatever way. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Because I've mentored in my jobs, even my day jobs. I've mentored teenagers, I've mentored people, I've trained people, I've been a support person for personal safety. So all along my job, I've always been the person people come to. And even as my friend circle, even though that's changed with my spiritual change, I was the person everyone rang, oh, Jane will sort it, Jane will know the answer, Jane can help us. And strangely enough, I didn't realise how much people consumed me until we had that dreaded situation 4 years ago when we all had to stay in our homes, because suddenly no one was coming to my door. And that's when I realised, as much as I've helped people, who was actually helping me and where was the balance for me, because I was giving and wasn't receiving. So even during that time, I learned a lot about myself. So it's not wrong to say no, or no, I'm not doing it, or no, I'm not helping you, because actually we've got to look after ourselves. So
yeah.
Exactly.
That's when I found out about SRT, actually, is 2020. Nothing more to do than to start going online and figure out what's going on out there. What are other people doing?
So what was it that brought you in then? Because you went from somebody that didn't want to accept the kind of work you were going to do, to all of a sudden, this is your life, this is your job, this is what you do. And now you've just certified as a practitioner through the academy as well.
Crazy. I had 2 friends. One of them is one of my best friends for 18 years. If she was on right now, she'd be like, ugh, I've been telling her for literally 18 years. I mean, she will say it to people. But 2020, my 2 friends that I was hanging out with all the time, one of them was designing an oracle deck because she's an artist. And the other was like, let's do cards. Why don't you read cards? Try reading cards for us just to pass the time. And so I also was going through a crazy kind of second awakening, I would say, in 2020, where I was just something happened, and I loved being by myself for the first part of that, because I started meditating for the first time. I started trying to figure out what was really going on with myself. So by the time I started being open to readings, it was like, it just started happening. People wanted to get readings. And then I found, okay, I want to do some classes. I need some online support or like circles. And then through that, I I had a couple people who had Andy clear them, and I was fascinated. I'm like, what? Who is this guy? So I started looking into Dr. Palmer online, and I said, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. I think this is what I do. I feel like I already am doing this in a way. And so I reached out to Dr. Palmer and said, I really want to train. And he said, sorry. By this time, I think it was 2021. He said, sorry, we're not doing online. It's too dangerous. And, as soon as we're doing in person, I'll let you know. And that was that. But I also found a video of Andy talking about spiritual protection. And I watched that video and I literally felt like something just opened. And I said, this is the person I want to learn with, actually. This is the person. And that spiritual protection, I started using it. It was like, oh yeah, this is a remembrance of some information that I forgot. And when I started using that, I became completely fearless to do this work, to do readings, to tap into people's energies, to whatever it was. I do energy work as well. So I usually read for people and then I kind of move energies for them. And it just allowed me to start to feel really protected and that I could do my own protection. And I also had a friend I met who I was doing a lot of, we were like trading a lot and talking a lot and working through a lot of these new ideas that were coming in, especially around protection and that kind of thing. So something else, what was it? I can't remember. I'll remember in a second.
That's all right. It'll come back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you came through the academy, flew over to the UK in May.
Yes. Yeah. So I came to the in-person, met Jane, met 12 others. I think there was 13 of us. So it was
13, yeah.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, this was something that I was so anxious about doing for so long. And I remember asking Andy, like, are you going to teach or when is this going to happen? And then when I found out you guys were doing this, it was like a no-brainer. I had to do it. And yeah, it was magical, actually. The process for me was not, a lot of people had some crazy experiences happen. For me, it was more like, it was just, I felt like I was being protected and pushed to get there. It didn't feel like I was going through the crazy experiences to get there that I know some did, but I felt like I had that the years prior. So in a way, it fell into place.
Cool. So I know that you've very graciously given us your time because you do have to head off for an appointment fairly soon.
I
But
do.
if there's one thing to anybody thinking about doing the course, what would you say?
I mean, when you know, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not even a question. If you feel that this is something you're meant to do, which I did, you have to take the leap because we're in this time period where things are happening so fast. And a lot of people are saying this, but the veils are thinning. I'm experiencing it. Everyone around me is experiencing it. We're magnetized to be around the people we are or work with the people that we're going to work with for a reason. And so I think the call to do it is the first thing, and then taking the steps forward. Once you do that, you're going to be shown. There's no question about, is it going to benefit? Yes, this benefits people. Yes, it's had extraordinary feedback. Like this changed even for me, what I do in my normal sessions with people, because the feedback of how quick something can turn around for someone or how much better someone can feel, that's blown me away. And in a way, when you're doing this kind of work, we need to know that it's actually helping people. We need that because we're constantly all day long putting ourselves in a position of people being like, you are nuts, or this is crazy, or I don't know what you do, it's weird, or I'm afraid, can you read my mind? No, I'm not reading your mind. I don't even care. Like, I don't, but there's this aspect of, that it's making a shift. And so we need we need people to step forward. If this is what you're good at, to come forward and do it, because there's so many people that will benefit. And the more that know these techniques or can do this kind of clearing, the faster I think we make a difference with shift and change in this world. And I really believe that. And I have such a big picture view of what this is and what it can do. But just the seed of it is follow that instinct, because it's one of the best things I've ever done.
Wow.
I think that's one of the questions I had for you, Leah, really. Obviously, you're into astrology and looking forward and that kind of stuff. What is your kind of predicted view of where we're going from a kind of academy perspective? Obviously.
Yeah, I have dreams, which I'm always sending you. I had a dream, and I'm telling you what it was. It's been since I was a kid that I did that. But I've dreamed very specifically about where the academy is going, and it's going to be global, and it's going to pick up pace really quickly. It's going to go fast with how it spreads, but it's also I see families even learning these techniques, like kids learning it. I see people, I don't know, I just feel people in all parts of the world coming forward, learning these techniques, sharing them. And I think that we are not allowed to see the full picture, because it would be either overwhelming or we wouldn't really interpret it properly. But what it feels like is we're each going through this process, but we're linked together. And so there's all these people that we're linked to that we don't even know yet that are going to connect into what this work is about. So yeah, big picture, I think we're going through the darkest of times, and that is the most exciting of times, because this is where you actually can see the change happen. And that light, those little beams of light that start peeking through in that darkness, is what I live for. Like, that's what I enjoy. I like to get that little like vision of I guess possibilities and hope, but in a way of like, it's just what we know. We know that we have this incredible power to protect ourselves.
Mm.
So future is more and more people knowing that. And I guess they call it awakening, but whoa, I feel it all around me. It's in the air for sure.
Awakening, enlightening, however they describe it. And I think you're right. I think the world at the moment is going through one of its darkest patches when it comes to energy and how people are having their energy repressed and everything like that. But like you say, there are these sparks of light. There are shards of light breaking through. And everyone who sort of works spiritually is a part of that light. And that is just getting bigger and bigger by the day. More and more people are turning their heads to, I don't necessarily mean the spiritual realms the way that we work, but just an understanding about humanity.
That we have to take care of each other, and that we are way more powerful than we think. That's the other thing, is I feel like what I do is I open up people's gifts that went dormant or are offline, so to speak. And we all can do that for each other. But big picture is people start realizing that they do have a say in what happens to them. And it's an energy field. It's not about what you did or what your opinion is. It's just the energy field around us. We are electromagnetic beings. How in the world are we not activating our capabilities? It's because we're just so scared. Like, people are so scared with what's happening in the world, or they're so upset about this happening over there, or I need this, I need this person to be elected, or this, but at the end of the day, I think it's people waking up to realize that as human beings, we're a lot less helpless than we think. And we're a lot more connected than we think to each other.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a number of people that want to step forward, that want to go ahead and do certain things, whatever it is, and that they're held back because of something that may or may not happen in the future. I've heard it loads and loads of times, particularly in the last couple of months. But if that holds everybody back, no one will step forward and no one will make the difference. It's the people that have the strength to stand up and take that step, sometimes when you don't even know where you're going. Certainly when I came out of hospital after my first big operation, I knew that I couldn't do my 3D job anymore and I had to step forward. I had no real idea, but I knew I had to take that step. And once you take the step, the path lightens in front of you. And all of a sudden the path is like, where have you been? I've been here for ages waiting for you. All you had to do was take one step and we've got you. And that's exactly what it's like. I completely agree with you, Leah. And I know that you need to dash off now because you have an appointment.
Yeah.
And there are some lovely people coming through and saying hello. There's one particular lady by the name of Tanya who's asked about a bit of advice. So what we're going to do, Tanya, I'm going to put Leah's website on here for you. And I'm also going to put Jane's on as well. But I know Leah has to go. So we're going to thank her very, very much for coming in and giving us this time, because it is precious to you in the morning, especially before an appointment.
Yeah, obviously I wouldn't be doing anything right now if I didn't have to get up early to see you guys. So it's well worth it. And thanks for having me. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah,
Great to see you. Thanks, Leah.
See you
Yeah.
later.
Take care,
Bye.
Leah. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
And that brings us to you, Jane.
Oh,
And one of the
okay.
things I want to say is that you said that you were the weird one in the family.
Yeah.
Which, of course, when you come into the academy, you're just normal.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I always felt left the odd one out because one, I'm the middle child, one, I'm the only girl, and I've always been the naughty rebel one. I'm the one that's given my mum the most grief, not in a really bad way, but because I wouldn't toe the line. And I always grew up thinking I was just being awkward and disruptive. But and not even when I was in most of my jobs, I've ended up being the manager. So I worked out quite quickly. I like to lead, not to follow, but in a good way, which obviously made me realise I needed to be self-employed because, like you, 3D jobs don't always work for me. I need to be in charge of my own destiny. And although I've gone back into 3D in some areas, I've always known, no, just do it for a bit and then get out because it's not cut out for you. But when people say, oh, you're too outspoken, you're too this, all I've worked out is I'm not outspoken. I know my own mind. I know when something doesn't sit right, and I've always known that. If I don't feel comfortable, I don't want to be around somebody, and that's not because they're horrible, I'm horrible. I just know to remove myself. So, and I think that's one of the fascinating things I found about the course. I thought I knew quite a bit, but was not ignorant enough to know I had lots still to learn. We always will, right up until we pass. But I was shocked at some things, thinking, do you know what, you want to really up your protection there, Jane? Maybe just notch it up to a great big spaceship size protection around your aura. And there was little things that I'd go back to the room and discuss with Polly and go, God, that blew me away today. Did you think? And even Polly, who I totally admire and look up to because she's been doing this for so long, even she would be going, God, that really got me thinking today. So to hear a really experienced, well-established medium, and then me that I still think is a novice, still tracking, it was just weird, the conversations we'd have between ourselves, discussing the day that we'd just been in the classroom. So it really did open my eyes up that you're never too old to learn. You're never too old to actually understand what's going on around you and the world, and never, ever think you're not capable of doing something. And when, like you said to Leah, what made her do it, come on the course, if I was truthful, I certainly overthought it. So don't overthink it if anyone is thinking of doing it. If you've got that thought in your head, there's a reason it's there, just go with it. If you looked at it and thought, not for me, and turned the page, then you obviously aren't interested. But if you keep thinking about it, then do it, because it was thrown at me probably last minute. I can't even remember when I signed up now. And it wasn't because I hadn't paid any attention. I didn't really look at it. Sounds awful, guys. I was already on your website, Jono. Didn't pay any attention to what you were doing, was in my own little world, doing my own little thing. Polly told me she was doing something, but never told me what it was, never asked, because that's how we both are, respecting each other's, privacy. And then one day she sat me down and went, I really think you ought to do this thing that I'm doing. And I went, well, what is this thing? You haven't even talked about it. And when she told me, I laughed, which is terrible. And she said, why are you laughing? I went, I can't do that. She went, why? I went, I don't even trance like you. She went, I really think you should do it. You underestimate yourself. And I was going, oh no. And we had a couple of weeks of throwing it back at each other. And when I was signing on the dotted line, thinking, what are you doing? Right up until the day I put my bum on that seat, I was sitting there thinking, what are you doing? I don't think you can do this. But by lunchtime on that first day, I sat back and thought, oh, what do you want about, Jane? Because you can do this. So it's the strangest, like most things in my life, I do seem to either jump in or stay away. And that's what I'd say I did with this. I jumped in, did not know what to expect, but oh my God, what a journey. And I'm so glad I did jump in. I did laugh because on the first day, as you guys know, you put the badge on the table and it said facilitator. And I said to Paul, I told you I'm not a medium, I'm a facilitator. She obviously got you to correct that. Ollie did the website a few weeks back, put me down as a facilitator. I thought, okay, someone's telling me I should, a bit late there by then because I've already done some clearings. But it was almost, again, a reminder to me. It wasn't because it was telling me, yeah, you should be a facilitator. And as the medium, I am a facilitator anyway as well. It was telling me you were doubting yourself right up until you sat in that classroom on that Monday, and I should never have doubted myself. So if anyone is doing the sort of work I do, spirit, like as a medium and a psychic, don't doubt yourself. Get your bum on that seat, put yourself forward as a medium, and don't second guess what you're doing, because Leah's right. This has enhanced my other work, because in my other work, I'm noticing differences. My guide's talking to me during the day while I'm not even in trance, which is getting a bit strange, but it's enhancing my other work because I'm getting more information coming through. So if nothing else, it's literally made me rise my vibration higher and accept that my guide's been waiting for a very long time to talk to me. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm so glad I did it, and I haven't looked back since I've done it.
Well, I mean, certainly the work that's coming through from you is incredible, and I think the reason why you had facilitator on your name card is because the application form had facilitator written on it.
Probably.
So we just take the information from that, but it was clear. It was clear that the shift was already happening into the medium side. And, you know, when probably, as you can appreciate, Jane, when we look for mediums that have got years of experience and years of understanding. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, what we do on course is actually more than I think we designed. You know, we designed a spirit release course. And quite often people will say, oh, I do that. And you think, no, you don't. You don't do what we do. Because it is completely unique to the years and years and years of development that was put into it.
Yeah.
But it's easy. And that is because of the amount of time that's been put into it to make it easy so that people can do.
And I think that is the thing. People don't realise. They go, what do you mean you did this course? And what do you mean it cost that much? People don't realise the work we did put into it, how much time and energy we gave, but how much we had to do to make sure we were doing this work to the high standard. And that's not to put people off either, but it shows you don't just sit down and do some stuff and go, oh yeah, I can have a practitioner certificate now. You earn that certificate because you have to have an understanding of what you are going out to do. And like any work you're doing in this field anyway, you are looking out for other people and you've got to be mindful of that. But I think for me, it was just showing, I mean, I mentioned it in my portfolio. I'd had soul realignments done on me as a guinea pig. I was a guinea pig for people. And at one point I thought, I bet this is like soul realignment. So this, which I called fluffy, this is nothing like soul realignment. And if there's anyone that's done soul realignment and or thinks, oh yeah, I'll just do that, that'd be easy. No, it's not like soul realignment. This is a much deeper, powerful therapy. That's how that's what we call it. This is much more controlled. This is a much more safer environment. And this isn't just someone going, oh, I can do that. You've got this, this, and this going on. I'll sort that out. I'll pop that in before I do the tea. Because it really has opened my eyes up how much on a 24/7 basis we stay protected, but also how serious the work is, not because of what we're doing, but because of the results that people can have from it. And if more people could have it and really benefit from it and actually take on the aftercare, wouldn't this world be an amazing place? So it's certainly not.
What I say to that is completely true.
Yeah. So this is not something to be sniffed at, and this is certainly not something to just go, yeah, it'd be easy. This is something that you have to have your heart and soul in, but also trust. I think the biggest thing that comes out of this is trust. You have to trust your guide, you have to trust yourself, and you have to trust the people you're working with. And I think that's where people need, and you cannot go off doing a one-man band solo thing. You've got, because the protection is in place for a reason for all of us. So, but yeah, I cannot look back. It's probably been the best thing I've done in a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly we set it up with that support structure, with the assessors working through, with the trainers working through with you, with people that had previously done the work and are now excelling. They also attended. So what we were trying to do is make sure that I don't want to use the word perhaps safety net, but that support structure is completely surrounding you. And this is how we all work together.
Dave obviously was my assessor, and he's brilliant. He still checks in with me. He's brilliant. And knowing that Dave qualified himself in December, he was great as an assessor because he was very deadpan, and I liked that. But also our guides seem to be, I think we both think they're twins. Let's just say we might be sharing the same one. So we understood each other because of our guides. But he will still check in on me, especially if I haven't managed to make the Zoom meetings. He'll just check in, check I'm all right, check my household's all right, because as you all know that there was a personal reason I also wanted to do this work. So I can't fault Dave. He's still there in the background, checking that I'm all right. And in the conventional world, I trained as a counsellor. You always had a supervisor in the background to do that. So actually, that's what's great about the academy, because there's always going to be someone there to pick you up, talk out our Zoom meetings, to talk over things. You can trust everyone. You know that someone there might have experienced something similar, or they're there for us to bounce off of. So I think that's the great bit about it. You haven't just taken away a certificate and you're on your own. You've got a whole new family. And Leah's right with her prediction, because I also have very strange dreams and a lot of remote viewing. I've seen lots of people coming in at different angles in my dream to the academy, so all probably at different stages. But at some point, I almost see emerging into this big gold fountain where everyone escalates at the same level, which sounds a bit bizarre because no one's better than anyone else, so to speak. It's just people have started 6 months, 12 months down the line. But it's like suddenly everyone's coming in, and then it's this one great big powerful surge of energy spreading across the universe. So she's probably, me and her, maybe are doing the same dreams. Who knows?
You never know. You never know. And I'm not going to go into what we do on the training, and we deliberately keep a lot of that back. But we have got a 3-day workshop coming up on the 10th, 11th and 12th of September where Andy and I will be sharing a little bit more than what we normally share on here, because there are lots of questions that come through to us. So we are doing that. But one of the things we do discuss on the training is this logo.
Yeah.
And what it means. And the only people that get it are the people that have done the training. Because you see that anywhere and you know that person's had to work for it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about getting the highest possible level of practitioner. And it doesn't mean you have to be that when you come in. It means that the support structure is completely around you so that when you're certified, you're that. And one of the words you said a couple of times there, Jane, was trust. And it's one of the things that we insist on. We've got a very, very close network of practitioner. We call it a tribe, we call it a family, and trust is one of the cords that links us all.
Yeah, 100%.
Andy talks about it on our Zoom sessions. it's mentioned by other people on our Zoom sessions, is that if you ever need anyone, you know there's people in different time zones around the world and they've got your back.
Yeah.
And they will willingly have your back. We're very lucky to have that.
There we are. And I think that's what makes it. That's what I said. You know, you have finished, and it is a bit of it. Everyone is on a downer after the week's course because it's been such a great week and met such great people. But you know that you're still going to see their faces like this. But you just know that, yeah, that week came down on a bit of a flat because it was such a high at the end. But actually, you stay in the SRA Academy, you're going to, there's family for life. And that support is there and that trust is there for life. So it's probably the first thing I've ever qualified in, is if you use that academic word, that you know there's a total support network around it, and it's not a certificate I'm now going to hang out and never use. This certificate, I hope, actually changes how I work and how I continue to work with other practices I do, because I'm actually going to change how I work to be more focused on how this helps other people. So for me, it's life-changing. Not just for the people that we're helping, but it's changed how I now want to work for my twilight years, as I'm not getting any younger.
I think we're all in the twilight years, aren't we?
Well, also, my hands are giving up and my eyesight's terrible. So I said I might as well do this because I don't need either when I'm in my guide.
Yeah, close your eyes and just talk. Okay, perfect.
So you can do all the work. I haven't got to worry about it. So, but no, I've loved every minute of it, and I've loved doing the clearings that I've done so far as well. So, and it's been great being both roles, because the facilitator's got a tough role, definitely got a tough role.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be the facilitator sometimes, to see how tough that is and appreciate what they've got to do. It's still all trial and error. When I've facilitated with Polly, I've had aftercare follow-up phone calls, and I can be on there for quite a long time. So I think time management still needs to be a question there. But again, I'm new to it. I don't want anyone going away feeling upset about it. If they've got questions, I believe that's what I'm there to answer, as I facilitated the clearing. So yeah, you have to time manage at some point, and we do need to remember our energy exchange. So it is a paid service. But at the same time, it's great learning and using your other techniques to help people with the aftercare. But I will say, when you're the guide, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
So being a medium is probably the best role for that. But actually, it's fascinating as a facilitator to watch. So,
yeah. And the facilitator is such an important role.
Yeah. And should be totally respected for that as well.
So in your opinion, somebody that has come in as a medium and also had sort of a little bit of experience doing the facilitator, what do you think would make a really good facilitator? What sort of person?
I think for the facilitator's role, you need someone that's very methodical. I think in some ways the facilitator can be I'm not saying we're not grounded, because I hope we are grounded working, but a more grounded, logical person at times, so that they can be more not sensible, how can I put it? But yeah, I'd say methodical, so that they're in control. It is like the leader. They're your team leader. So you want someone that can deal well with that situation, and also someone that will deal with watching someone in there as their guide, because we all can look and sound different. We can sound like ourselves, but we could look totally different. So you need somebody that isn't easily phased, but also has a great understanding about that connection and that spiritual connection. And I think anyone that's coming in facilitating, because I remember when I read the application, it was saying that people that were doing hypnotherapy and different practices like that, they're probably thinking, oh, should I do that? Well, I don't know if I can do that. 100% you can do that as a facilitator, because you're having people under hypnosis or regression, or you've got people on your healing bed. You are keeping an eye on them and helping them. So for me, a facilitator is definitely somebody that can keep things in order has a little bit more order. That's probably why I facilitate more than Polly does, because I can keep her in order. We take it in turns, because if it's one of her clients and they particularly want her as the medium, then I respect that and I facilitate. Also, I'm the one, again, the logical one, although I'm not very techy. I've set up the forms and the spreadsheet on my laptop, so I can set up sending out the forms as a facilitator. But when you're the medium, you just need to make sure you're in the zone and you are totally 100% sovereign. So you can be a little bit more, not away of the fairies, but you don't have to worry as much as long as you know that facilitator is going to look after you. So I just think a team leader, I'd call the facilitator. Yeah. And again, trust, yeah. So I call myself the sensible one in our duo anyway. I'm the one that's the business head and the sensible one. So that's probably why I can do both roles.
Well, good for you. Good for you. So, I mean, Jane, this has been an amazing chat, and thank you very much for putting your time in and playing some of the things you said. I've just checked our message and I haven't got your website. How can people find you?
I did put my website on my link underneath. Is it not coming up?
Yeah, it is.
But I can send you my Facebook page. On Facebook, I'm terrible with things like that. But my Facebook page is Jane Morton New Beginnings, Holistic and Spiritual Therapies. That's a bit of a mouthful. That's where I would respond more, because my personal page obviously is for friends. So it would be Jane Morton New Beginnings.
That's fine. So when you finish here, just pop it on the WhatsApp, whichever one you want to go on here, and I'll put it straight on the messages, okay?
Okay, lovely. Okay. Well, thank you both.
So brilliant. So hang around. Hang around.
See you later.
It was great to hear you, actually. Great to listen to your update. And obviously, from our perspective, it's nice to hear the sort of update from the course, because obviously during the course, we've got ahead in doing the training, but we're not kind of seeing you guys doing the things behind the scenes and seeing the involvement of where you come from and how you kind of move, because that tends to happen. It's like you guys got to band together in the tribe, don't you, and do that away from the self-employed. So that's what I think, for me, these things are quite interesting to hear the updates, really, from people that have been trained and now actually working at the coalface and really doing the real work, and how that work is perceived by you guys. So it's been great. Yeah.
I think the best bit about the course as well, if anyone's thinking of doing the in-house one, you go, even if you're going on your own, and many people did. Me and Polly and Maggie were the only English people on that course. So all those people had travelled to England to be on that course, but we were the only English ones. But you go worried maybe, but actually we were literally within 24 hours all chitter-chatting and talking about things like we'd all been together. There's a reason we were all there together. And no one should be scared to come on their own, because whoever's coming on that week is meant to be there with them. That's how I would say it. Yeah. And I know I was lucky because me and Polly were together, but I went off and did classes in the evening. She did her own thing. And, we weren't together. We might shared a room, but we did mingle with everybody else. And I think that's the great thing as well. It's like a holiday with a little bit of homework. Well, actually a lot of homework, but there you go.
No, brilliant.
So no one should be put off coming on their own, because they're going to meet their family.
Brilliant. Jane, thank you very much. And for anybody that is kind of interested in finding out how we delve into the back room of the SRA, in the back room of the Academy, and how we do the work, we have a workshop, myself and Andy. We're going to bring different practitioners in as well on the 10th, 11th and 12th of September. It's going to be about an hour long on 5 o'clock UK time. It's completely free, but you do need to register on the Facebook pages, Spirit Release Academy, and the official discussion group. You can see the links there to come in. The session is not being recorded. We may have said previously that it is, but it's not. You do have to attend to communicate with us, basically. It is not being recorded and being sent out, so you have to be there. So we will leave it there. Andy and I have another meeting to get into. So Jane, absolutely wonderful, and thank you to Leah as well for coming in.
Yeah,
you've been amazing, Jane. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Take care now.
Perfect. Bye-bye. Thanks, Jane. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
I've just popped that link up on the